been a little busy lately, but I hope everyone is doing well. I wanted to jump back in and show you something that I've been working on. And start on Google security authentication is legit. Do it this one. Yeah, I like it. All right. Jump in and say hello. One more thing and I'm ready to go. All right, so look, I've been doing a lot lately, and one of the things I've been doing, and I haven't been doing a very good job of it of late, is working to learn cybersecurity. I enjoy what I've been learning thus far, and I'm going to do a little recap and get back into daily studying, which has been a little busy with travel and a few other things at work. But anyway, one of the things I've noticed is that it gives a lot of material that's needed in order to remember or to refresh or stay up to date or different things that's going on in the industry. And there are a ton of different links that I love to get organized and begin to read through on a daily basis so I can have a better understanding of what it is that I am attempting to learn until I actually get into the industry, whether it be for an employer or doing things at a personal level. So what I realized is that I need a way to kind of organize all of these links because right now they're just kind of all over the place, and I don't have a very good way of keeping up with them. So I'm going to build, or I have built, a personal website bookmark tracker where I have the ability to store different links of websites that I want to revisit at a later point. So this is the UI that I've been working on. Not much. This one I don't think is 100% active as of yet. Yeah, this one is active. I'm sorry, but I have redone it, and I haven't deployed this one, but I have redone the back end of it. Instead of going with MongoDB, I went with Postgres Prisma, and I have it currently deployed on vercel. But I have not updated the UI, and that's what I want to work on now is to document the process of me updating the UI of this website that I have for my personal use. And eventually I may make it into something more than that. But this is a need that I'm attempting to solve because there are so many different links and websites that it suggests for you to read or stay abreast of different current events on. And until I get it in my everyday ecosystem, I just figure why not have a way to have it better organized. So this layout, this design is with the inspiration of a bookmarking website that I've seen. I've never used one. I just always store my bookmarks in the browser. But I'd rather have a website because I'm not always on my browser on the computer. and I can use this to do much more than just store website links. So I can't remember the inspiration behind this, but basically I have a responsive website with a sidebar, side and top bar. The sidebar is going to have links to different. It's going to give me the ability to kind of categorize and put in a collection, if you will, of different links on the web of different topics of website and links that I want to store. I have a trash, new collection, all of that good stuff at the top. I have the search functionality so I can search different links. I'm not sure if I want to keep an export option, but I'm going to have different list views as well. And of course, if I want to add, excuse me, a link, I'll be able to do so right here, and they'll be listed in the body of this side of this dashboard view. I have the ability to edit and delete them. That's pretty standard. But yeah, and then I'll look to add on more things based upon what I feel is relevant and grow the website. So I've also done something else with this that I thought is pretty useful, and that is I have the website deployed, and I have different environments of the website that go along with it. So instead of just having one deployed website with the main branch and one development server. Hold on 1 second here. So because this website is online, So because this website is online and I intend to add additional features and make it something that I use and grow and maybe even provide to the public at some point or another, I want to make sure that I have different environments in order to store and organize different features and themes and updates that I want to add onto the website. It's not always I want to make a change and push it directly to production, especially if I have it online, because that change could break, something could go wrong, and it'll definitely impact the experience of using the website. Let alone if I have other users using it outside of myself. And I will have a test group, if you will. So what I figured made the most sense was to start doing a more practical practice as it relates to integrating this project online and using the deployed and production version. So what I have been doing is, where are you? Where are you? I'm trying to find where I put the documentation that I want to go over. But I thought it'd be helpful to those of you that like to deploy and play with the applications online. I can't find what I did with things on here. Into some code in a minute. Man. All right. So one of the things that I wanted to do differently with this website is make sure I gave it a more professional or production setup. So instead of making updates and pushing it directly to production, I decided to have different branches so that I can test, make changes, add features, modify things in one environment without impacting production. And if it was changes that I wanted to integrate into production, then I could always pull those requests into that production branch versus typing and coding directly into the production code and hoping that I made a change that didn't negatively impact the end user experience. So what I did was I took advantage of Git's and vercel's easily integration when you have deployment. And one of the cool features that I realized that it provides is that you can stage, you can have different production environments. So you can have your main environment under, or your production environment under main, and have a staging or a testing environment under a different branch. And in that way, if you wanted to integrate the code into your main branch, you can do that without so much of a risk, just in case you happen to make a change that worked well in one environment, didn't work well in the main environment. So this documentation was extremely helpful. Something that I was familiar with, but I thought it'd be very good to share with those that are just getting started to make websites or want to start doing something with a little more structure so that you can start contributing to open source projects, working in a team, or maybe even seeking employment where you will be working in a team and you have to do things in different environments. So using this document of deploying Git repositories on Vercel, this was a lifesaver, if you will. So vercel allows for automatic deployments on every branch, pushes and merges, and that's pretty good because, like I said, you can have multiple branches set up and you can test out what it looks like online, pass that link to a different device, and see what it looks like on a phone or a tablet or whatever it is that you want to do. So it's very easy. I'm not going to bore you and read over the documentation. I will make sure that I include it. But the first thing you'll do is you'll deploy a website based on a Git repository. So you always want to make sure that you set up Git inside of the terminal or the text editor, whatever that you're using. Once you've imported it, you're going to select in the next window, you're going to select the framework that you are looking to deploy. In this event, I'm using nextjs, but you can use whatever you want. Once you've done that, you'll point to the directory where you want the application to where you point to the directory where the project is actually stored so that you can integrate those files online. And you have the ability to set up a private repository as well. And it's always good to add that extra layer of security. That way, in the event someone does gain some access, you can have an additional layer of security to kind of help with that. And if, as you're adding team members, you can set up using the team's credentials and making sure that you have the appropriate member access settings so that only certain team members can do certain things. Like I said, the cool thing with this is the branches. Um, I have a production branch, and I'll show you in a moment, and that is the main branch. I also have a staging environment and have other environments. I'm glad that I did take the time to set this up because I was able to integrate or make a feature update and test it out in staging, and it worked just fine. But when I tried to integrate it into production, into the main branch, I got an error. And I'm glad I had it separated because had I pushed that code originally from my local host directly to production, I would have broke something because it didn't play well with the production code that was already in place. So this is what's referred to as a preview branch. So you can keep your production on a single branch as main, as I just mentioned, and then have different branches that give you the option to see what the new feature or new code that you just added looks like. So I'll leave the link in the description for those that might be interested in reading up on this, but I thought this would be very beneficial to those that are looking to get into web development or work with a team or contribute to open source. It's good to always have version control in place just to make sure that you are taking a snapshot of where you are in time. And if you need to go back to it, you don't have to worry about undoing code and deleting code. You can always just change the branch. As I was mentioning earlier, I had different branches for my website so that I can preview and make changes and bring in and test features without actually updating or modifying my production code. And as I mentioned earlier, I received an error on one of my branches where I attempted to make a change, and I'll go in detail on what that change is. And it worked fine in one environment. I jumped into staging, got an error, but had I pushed that code directly into my production code, I'd have been in a pretty bad spot. So taking a look into the error message that I received, the reason I was receiving this error message is because I didn't have my TypeScript types set appropriately. In the local environment, I was able to get away with not having everything as typed safely as I probably should have. As you can see, I had the E as any, but when I updated to unknown, that was able to be pushed through to production without an issue. And those changes were successfully made and everything worked fine in the production branch based upon the development branch where I was pulling that code in from. But had I tried to write this code directly into production, I would have received an error and been a little frustrated trying to figure it out because I would have wished I would have left it as is because I could have always came back to it. But because I didn't have it set up properly, that's why I ran into this issue. So just make sure that you're leveraging different environments before you push your new features and updates to your production because you don't want to negatively impact the end user by having code that's not up to speed or that's not appropriately typed from a development into a production environment. Um, let's get back to what we were doing. So, I don't need this. So this is the website Live and Living Color by bookmaker vercel. Basically, what I have is a bookmark link organizer where you have the ability to enter a name for the link, the URL, and we're going to save it. What I don't have displayed is the ability to add notes about that website. So if there's something that I want to remember or study or read upon, I'll be able to add notes. And I'm going to add a rich text editor. So it's more of a interactive note piece that I can manage. And then from there, I have another website that I'm working on where I can visually add. I forgot the name of the website. Exit Draw. I like it. It's just a little complicated, so I figured why not add my own. So I'll be able to draw and diagram out the things all within this website. But I'm going to gradually add these features and just document it online. So I think I named this. So on the screen of bookmarks, this is where I'm going to add this layout. And let me bring it over so I'll make sure I don't miss it. Basically, we'll add a model drop down that'll give us the ability to add URL bookmarks. And we'll come back in and add export and all that good stuff later. Within here, we have the individual bookmarks listed and somewhat organized. I'm going to use the hover effect so that when I hover over it, I have the ability to update and delete and go to that website, but we'll add that in a moment. Everything has validation coming from the server. So if something is not added properly and you try to click add bookmarks without adding this information, you'll notice that we have a loading indicator so that that state is being managed and the end user can see it. And then we're just sending back some validation errors from the server that a title is required and that a URL is required and it must be valid. But I think I may come back and change this. And you'll also notice that we have a toast notification listed there that indicates of what needs to be done. And it may make more sense to move this over to the center. So we'll do that as well. Basically, this is the website that is live and in production right now, and I have different environments for it. I can show it to you. I added Pusher to give me real time updates. Not so much for the bookmarks, but I went ahead and added it for the bookmarks. But more so when we start adding additional features, it'll just be a better experience if it is captured and provided updates real time versus whenever the normal time is getting it back from the server. All right, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. Which one is this? Oh man. That could be part of the problem. Hold on 1 second. All right, we good. We are good. All right, let's fix this layout. All right, sorry about that. I think we are good now. I just want to be able to see what I was doing since I'm working on the UI. And let's make sure the local host is going, which I think it is. All right, let's update these layouts. Layouts. So it doesn't have a layout. Turn children password. So start. So let's start in the. I'll start with the layout. And I added this layout specifically in the bookmarks route because we may just have a standard loading page in the main root page for TSX, and I would like to have a different layout for the two. Ran into a little bit of a issue having the incorrect function type inside of the layout, so just make sure that you have that updated as I had it here. So experiment feature. I just want to make sure through all of that I didn't mess up actual development of that shifts the text. So now let's begin. Just want to make sure I kept the same naming conventions. All right, let's do this. We'll set the sizing direction for the main portion of the layout. Can't make this much of a change. Sure. Back. Let's do this. Make sure this is it. 100 looks good. Hmm. And this will be, what will have this information. There on the way. React icons. Inbox. Allows me to customize it and use it. This type. Type. One. work.